Now, Junior, don't you steal. The government will not tolerate competition.
I don't know if you heard, but the FBI had a raid yesterday in Beverly Hills. Pretty interesting raid. FBI says fortune seized in Beverly Hills raid was criminals' loot. Owners say, where's the proof? Guess what? They didn't have any proof other than, oh yeah, all those bills were banded with rubber bands. That right there shows that there's drug involvement. This is crazy, guys. This is under civil asset forfeiture, okay? They can actually seize your items, seize your property without a warrant, and they don't have to give you any kind of reason. They can just take your money and hold it for as long as they want to hold it. After FBI seized Joseph Reed's life savings during a raid on a safe deposit box business in Beverly Hills, the unemployed chef went to court to retrieve his $57,000. A judge ordered the government to tell Ruiz why it was trying to confiscate his money. It came from drug trafficking, an FBI agent responded in court papers. Ruiz's income was too low for him to have that much money, and his side business selling bongs made from liquor bottles suggested that he was an unlicensed pot dealer. Guys, this right here is why we've got to get rid of the IRS. Joe Biden, did you see what Joe Biden did the other day? If you have an account that has $600 in it, or if you've transacted $600 in the last year, that banking institution is required to alert the IRS because they're trying to cut down on people who are being dishonest and trying to keep 100% of all their income. It says the Treasury Department made the proposal on May 2021. That should have been laughed out of Congress like that by every Democrat, by every Republican, but they don't do it. Why? Could it be they're in the back pocket of the banksters and they got a lucrative thing going and they don't want to dump over the apple cart? The Senate Finance and House and Ways and Means Committee could adopt it as part of a budget reconciliation legislation that they're considering. Under the measure, financial institutions would be required to annually report gross inflows and outflows from all businesses and personal accounts, including bank, loan, and investments accounts, if the inflows and outflows of the account total at least $600 in a year. Who would that not apply to? That's a broad brush intrusion on everybody. You're going to have $600 go in or out of your account, or a total of $600 in a 365-day period. Or if the account has a fair market value of at least $600. Further spying on the wealth of Americans. It's just, if there is anything that we can stand up against, it is mandates and the IRS seeking more and more power over you and me. Wanting to keep everything, 100% of everything that you own, is not a crime. And I don't care how many times they say it's a crime. I don't care how many laws they make or how good it sounds or how many congressmen and senators say it's a crime. It's not a crime. It never will be a crime. What is a crime is taxation. What is a crime is government extortion. What is a crime in a criminal enterprise is the IRS domestic terror cell. That's a crime. So he said, oh, they were making bongs from liquor bottles, and it suggests that he was an unlicensed pot dealer, the agent wrote. The FBI also said a dog had smelled unspecified drugs on Ruiz's cash. Well, guess what? That cash doesn't originate from Ruiz. And from what I understand, 93 to 95% of all fiat currency paper has traces of fecal matter on it. Does that mean that fecal matter came from Ruiz? So if there is drug residue on your dollar bills and your $10 bills and your 20s, it doesn't mean it comes from you. There's no proof of guilt or wrongdoing there. And even if there was, we need to eradicate the entire drug war altogether. The fact that every single president does not get rid of the drug war, but makes it worse every single year, just shows you whose side they're on. It's not a war on drugs. It's a war on people. The FBI was wrong. When Ruiz produced records showing the source of his money, you shouldn't have to do that. was legitimate, the government dropped its false accusation and returned his money. How many times a day does the government make a false accusation against somebody so that they can steal their property or steal their wealth or imprison them? Ruiz is one of roughly 800 people whose money and valuables the FBI seized from the safe deposit box that they rented at the U.S. private vault store in a strip mall on Olympic Boulevard. Federal agents had suspected for years that criminals, let's read that right. Criminal agents had suspected for years that people they called criminals were stashing loot there, and they asserted that's exactly what they found. The government is trying to confiscate $86 million in cash and a stockpile of jewelry, rare coins, and precious metals taken from about half of the boxes. This is theft in broad daylight. Where's that being reported by mainstream media? This is the Los Angeles Slimes reporting on this, but this will be buried quick. Nobody's going to give much attention to this. This should be an outrage all over the nation, everywhere. 6 months after the raid, the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles have produced no evidence of criminal wrongdoing, but they still got the $86 million and all that jewelry and all those coins by the vast majority of box holders whose belongings the government is trying to keep. About 300 of the box holders are contesting the attempted confiscation. Ruiz and 65 others have filed court claims. Now it's going to cost them money in lawyers' fees to get their money back, saying the dragnet forfeiture operation is unconstitutional. Let's just call it what it is. It's criminal. Criminals in broad daylight doing criminal things under the guise of legality. Oh, that's deprivation of rights under color of law. It was a complete violation of my privacy, Ruiz said. It was a complete violation of my privacy, Ruiz said. They tried to discredit my character. Prosecutors so far have outlined past criminal convictions or pending charges against 11 box holders to justify the forfeitures. So if you made a mistake in your past and you've got a criminal record or criminal history, probably not even because of anything you did. Like there's tons of people who are in prison right now with a criminal record that didn't do anything wrong. Kevin Strickland, he's in a Missouri prison. He's been there for 42 or 43 years. They convicted him of a triple homicide. They actually got the guys who actually did it, realized that Kevin Strickland was never a part of the equation. Everybody knows that he's innocent, and he's still sitting there in prison. He'll have a criminal record for the rest of his life. Schaefer Cox, Jeffrey Winehouse. You could go all day with this list of people. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Bradley Manning. None of these people did commit any crimes. They didn't harm anybody. They didn't threaten to harm anybody. They didn't damage somebody's property and didn't pay for it. They're not criminals. So basically what they're saying is, past criminal convictions mean that you are a criminal now, when you may not have been a criminal in the past. But in several other cases, court records show the government's rationale for claiming that the money and property it seized was tied to crime is no stronger than it was against Ruiz. Look at some of these reasons they give. Federal agents say the use of rubber bands and other ordinary methods of storing cash were indications of drug trafficking or money laundering. If you used a rubber band to band your cash together, well, according to the FBI, that makes you guilty. You must be a criminal if you rubber band your money together. They also cite dogs alerting to the scent of narcotics on most of the cash as key evidence. You could probably test cash, and you would probably have cash in your possession. Does that mean that banks that hold cash, if you brought a drug dog in there, they are criminals for having that cash? That's the rationale of these federal agents. But the government says it deposited all the money it seized in the bank, making it impossible to test which drugs may have come into contact with which bills and how long ago. You actually don't know anything until that currency is run through a lab. And even when you run it through a lab, that doesn't mean the current owner of that currency put that drug powder on it. U.S. Private Vaults was indicted in February on charges of conspiring with unnamed customers to sell drugs, launder money, and structure cash transactions to dodge government detection. Oh my gosh. Trying to dodge government detection is now a crime. See, here's what it is. Here's what the government's doing. The government is trying to eliminate their competition. Don't steal. The government hates competition. The criminal cases remained dormant since then, with no attorney or other representative of the U.S. private vaults appearing in court to enter a plea. In papers responding to 15 lawsuits and other claims filed by the box holders demanding the return of their belongings, prosecutors say U.S. private vaults intentionally marketed itself to criminals by stressing that customers could rent boxes anonymously. Now you're thought to be a criminal if you just want to be anonymous. They don't want you to. The government doesn't want you to be anonymous. We need to make anonymity great again. You want to make something great again? Make anonymity great again. Just amazing, amazing, guys. In civil forfeitures, no criminal convictions are required. The government just needs to prove that it's more likely than not that the money or property it seeks to confiscate was linked somehow to criminal activity. So there you go. Crime taking place in broad daylight. Hey guys, we know with the way things have been going, it can get really interesting really quick. So make sure you and your family have a long-term storable food supply. Support the channel and get $50 off with my link in the description while you still can. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel, one of the best things you can do is like and share this video with everybody you know, everywhere you can on social media. If you want to support further, the Patreon, Bitcoin, and Subscribestar links are in the description in the pinned comment. And if you want to support further, you can grab a hard-hitting, conversation-starting shirt from the shirt store. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.